Welcome back. Chief Justice Raymond Zondo has gone to court to apply for a 6-week extension to the state capture inquiry. The inquiry has already been granted 6 extensions. The President granted the previous application in February. Now, Zondo has promised to hand over the hard copy of the 4th installment of the report, including details surrounding Eskom, the Free State, and the attempted capture of Treasury by Monday. But he says the agency has not been able to complete all the remaining topics that must be covered and will not be able to do so by the end of April. These final topics for the 5th report include investigations into the SABC, the Passenger Rail Agency, the Waterkloof Landing, the State Security Agency, and the Estina Dairy Farm. To discuss, we're joined by legal analyst Mpumelelo Zikalala. Mr. Zikalala, thank you for being with us. Given the scale of the evidence that ultimately emerged, is it fair enough for Zondo to ask for yet another extension?
I would say maybe in this particular time, you shouldn't be granted this particular extension. Just remember, when this commission was created in 2018, it was only supposed to exist for 180 days. We've gone from 180 days to 4 years approximately. Now, when it comes to this particular application, even though we're not privy to the details, it is not explained as to why this particular delay has taken place. In any application that you make in any of our courts, it's important for our courts to know, is this a self-inflicted delay, or is it something which is beyond your control that is causing you not to comply with the applicable rules? That is important because we don't want to keep people whose rights may be implicated by this particular report in limbo, because they can't take it on review due to the report having not been complete up until a certain point in time.
Yeah.
So I think in this particular time, the court must really interrogate and say to the State Capture Commission, please give us plausible reasons as to why we should grant you this application. We realize the importance of it, the money that has been spent on it, but it is getting a bit too much. Please explain further as to why this particular extension should be granted.
I did see that Zondo, as part of this application, said that his own work, so of course the team would have continued their work, but he said his own work was disrupted because he was preparing for the JSC interviews that of course led to him becoming Chief Justice of the country. Is that something that makes sense to you?
Now, let's put it into context. If one has to prepare for interviews, let's say it's a week, and then you hold your interviews, which take a day or half of the particular day. Even when you do the interviews of the JSC with all the other divisions, again, it's a weekend which you need to prepare. Now, the question would be, from the previous date in which you was working on this particular project till now, what exactly has happened during these particular processes? Let's remember, if we look at the rules of the State Capture Commission, they are more than welcome to employ individuals which are supposed to assist the Commission in making sure that it completes its work within the shortest amount of time. Now, the question would be, are you doing something, are you working diligently as the Commission to make sure that you are able to deliver this report within the shortest amount of time, taking into account that there are people that are waiting for it, South Africans are waiting for it. The recommendations were supposed to be recommended by the commissions must be implemented as soon as possible.
Yeah.
We do not want to implement things that we can't do at the end of the day due to the horse of importance. So it's absolutely crucial that this particular report must be completed so that the work of rebuilding South Africa and making sure that we grab back our governance structures to make sure that they work for the interests of South Africans is done as soon as possible.
However, if the court does not grant this request for an extension to the 15th of June, I think it is, the middle of June, won't there be huge loose ends because we won't have reporting on things like the SABC, PRASA, the State Security Agency? So as a country, then we are left in limbo, and all that evidence, does it get lost?
But we must ask ourselves this question. On the ones that we've received now, is there anything which has been, or the percentage of the instances of full conclusions that the Commission has arrived at without saying at the end of the particular report, we need to further investigation on this particular matter because we don't have capacity. We need the NPA to take over on this particular matter because we don't have capacity. At the end of the day, the work of the Commission is a fact-finding commission that simply says there are agencies, law enforcement agencies, which are there, entitled and properly constituted to investigate. There's the NPA, which is properly constituted, that its sole job is to make sure that they prosecute at the end of the day. Now, if the commission is going to want to grab the job or want to do the functions of those two functionaries and want to make sure that they are the ones that do the actual investigations, they are the ones that do the actual, let's say, pre-prosecution, it's not going to work at the end of the day, which is why the extent and these particular extensions must be really interrogated in terms of saying, aren't you maybe focusing on something which is not broken in terms of the Commission's Act and the work of the Commission? What you really should be focusing on is this question. Why in instances where a particular laws have been broken and legislation has been transgressed, our law enforcement officers are nowhere to be found in terms of investigations? If they are working optimally, then let's ask the questions on the NPA. Why aren't you doing these particular prosecutions once there's a report that says that something wrong has happened?
Yeah.
We were even waiting in limbo of whether the reports into the working of the law enforcement agencies and that of the NPA is going to be included in the report, because as South Africans, we need to know who exactly isn't doing its job. Linked to that is the various oversight committees and frameworks that are there, designed to make sure that people are actually doing their jobs. In this case, I'm talking about SCOPA. Within the municipal level, I'm talking about your municipal, your MPEC. You have various audit committees that are there. You have various committees which are sitting in Parliament, even the Deputy President and the President, even the ministers. What exactly oversight role are they playing if at the end of the day, we're not going to get anywhere with people not complying with the legal frameworks that are there and applicable?
I hear you, and often the Zondo Commission says, yes, this needs further investigation. So we haven't got that full closure we had all hoped for, and maybe they just couldn't give it. Very quickly, a question sitting with me, why did this go to court and not to the president like last time?
I think this time it ought to have gone to court in the first place. It is not within the realm of the president to say, I'm giving you this particular extension. Once a proclamation has been there, to me it's taken as if it's law. It must be complied with. Anyone who wants to provide a particular extension must go to court and seek leave for that extension to be granted.
All right, thank you for your time. Legal analyst Mpumelelo Zikalala.